You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence keeps this channel ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Inkdependence. I'm Mike, and this is an ink from the Narwhal Explorer edition. There are 4 inks in this series, and we'll be taking a look at all 4 of them. I got them from the brand Narwhal at the Philadelphia Pen Show in 2023, went right around the time these came out. There are now shimmer editions of, I want to say these same colors, but I haven't got them in hand, so they might be slightly different. But this is Mango Sorbet, comes in a nice little box, good graphics, Explorer themed, dig it. Here's the bottle that it comes in, which is a nice little 20 milliliter glass bottle. And these go for about $12, so very reasonably priced. Perfectly serviceable bottle, won't fall over while you're filling it. Has a good enough opening, I think, for all the pens I would want to try to cram in there. All right, so let's see what this looks like on some paper, because that's kind of the important part. Here it is on my usual 80 grams per square meter Rhodia paper, where you can see it is a really nice yellow orange, sort of too yellow to be orange and a little too orange to be straight up yellow. Maybe it's mango colored. I don't know. I haven't actually, have I ever had a mango? Not just a fresh mango. I don't know. Maybe it's this color. I got a little crazy with the ink swatch here. Oops. Just kind of kept smearing. It's kind of the way it went. Medium to dry flow. All of these inks are a little bit on the dry side. This is the least dry of the 4 that I have, but it is still kind of on the dry side. I originally put it in a flex nib because I thought, you know, the other nibs that I had these in originally, I wasn't happy with them because they were all too dry. I'm going to put it in a wet nib just to begin with. And I'm like, yeah, no, works really well in this fine flex. So about a month later, I said, well, let's put it in something else. This one I used up and I've since cleaned that pen out, but this is the Lamy All-Star Gloss Red. Look how glossy that is. It is certainly a glossy red, and it has this orange feed. And I'm like, yeah, let's put a mango ink in here, because why not? It kind of fits, right? This is a fine nib, and it's a Lamy, so it's going to be a lot drier than this fine Flex Yovo, and it keeps up with both of them. So I was actually pleasantly surprised about that. I thought it was going to be too dry. It is quite fine and a little bit on the dry side, but not too bad. It works. It works just fine. So a little bit of bleed and feather and spread or whatever on the 20-pound paper that I use for copy paper like testing. Some shading in all of this area, not a huge amount of shading, but definitely some. So there you go, pretty good, I think. And a lot of other papers, this will look better just from this fine nib on this coated paper. It was just a little bit thin, I think, for this. It just wasn't soaking in. It doesn't look as good. It's going to look better on some other papers. Just wait and see. All right, let's go ahead and do our water drop test, and we'll take a look at it on some other papers. We'll look at some other inks next to it. I have a whole bunch of inks in this color range, so we're going to be looking at a bunch of those. Get some water on the subject here. Give it a little shake and shimmy. Nope, don't get too crazy, Mike. I'm going to get into the fine nib stuff there. Okay, good. We're good. All right, it's totally fine. Blot this up. Oh no, I spilled my cup of water on this. Look, that sort of thing happens. I just lost some writing not too long ago from my water drip, so be careful where you put your inks when they're not water resistant, and this is not water resistant. You can see it mostly came up here on the paper towel. And there's a little bit left. You'd probably be able to recover what you wrote, maybe, but it's going to be dicey. So I'd say keep this one away from your glasses of water and that condensation and that kind of thing. Here's what the chromatography looks like, and it's really cool. You've got this green band at the top, and you've got this nice orange here, but nothing where it started out. It's just totally gone. But that's kind of cool. Where'd this green come from? Where'd that green at, though? I don't see it in here at all. It's just in the chromatography. Neat. Okay, first paper is going to be our 20 pound, 30% recycled copy paper. This is staple stuff. It is the sort of bad tier paper, and it just doesn't look great on this paper. The fine nib does better than the flex nib, of course, because this is much wetter. But you do still see some spread in weird places and some feather and stuff. It just doesn't look great. And then on the back, you can see it definitely, both of them bled through. Of course, this is bad paper and most of these bled through, but this is more than I was expecting from that fine nib, especially from an ink with dry flow. It's a little bit bleedier than I want it to be on this paper. Next up is this paper. This is Domtar paper from the sadly now defunct Blank Slate Paper Co. I really liked what they were doing, but they decided to close up shop. So you can't really get this with these hashes or anything anymore. But Domtar paper is still around. You'll find it under the Xerox brand name if you look for it. And this ink performed, I think, really well on this paper. It looks good on here. It felt good on here. Nothing super weird, although you definitely see some spread from the much wetter one. You don't really see anything bad from the fine nib. Pretty darn good in a fine nib. Just a little bit of bleed through in a few places. Again, I was surprised by how this bleeds. You don't really see a lot of bleed on this paper, although it's not really coated or anything. It's kind of a very normal sort of paper. Next up, wheat straw paper, and my inky finger is currently inked. This is uncoated, kind of normal paper as well, although very good for fountain pens. And there you see it from that big fine flex nib, and I think it looks great on this paper from that fine flex. Just really rich color, nice lines, no spread or bleed or anything like that, of course. Nothing's going through this paper, but looks really good on this paper from this nib. And then here is the Lamy nib right up here, which looks okay, a little bit anemic perhaps, but much lighter color just because it's not putting down nearly as much ink, but looks pretty good. Definitely readable for sure. And lastly, for paper trials, I have here Galen Leather Co. This is Tomoe River paper, which is excellent stuff. Of course, there's the fine flex one right there. It looks beautiful on here. You definitely get more shading and that sort of thing on this paper because it doesn't really soak in. It kind of sits on top and pools and looks awesome. And then here it is from that fine nib on the Lamy. And I think it looks perfectly okay here, but not as good as it did from the high flow nib on the other page. But pretty darn good. Still gives you, shading and some good character. Looks nice. All right, let's look at some color comparisons. These are Colodex cards here. Link in the description. And it looks great on here, frankly. Here it is from that fine flex. I didn't do a writing sample with the fine Lamy, but it'll look a little bit lighter than that, of course. But yeah, it looks really good on here. Nice stuff. All right, I pulled a bunch of different things because I don't have anything exactly like this, I don't think, but I pulled Papier Plume Sazerac. This is way too peach, not even really close. This is Stipula's Saffron. You don't see Stipula inks a whole lot, much more orange here. Then I've also got Robert Oster Peach, which is definitely a whole lot closer to the Mango Sorbet. I pulled Krishna Sunburst, which is way more brown. Then I pulled, just way too brown, more mustardy looking than this. Then we have here Diamine Brandy Snap from the 2021 Inkvit. Again, more brown than I want this to be. Then I have here Esterbrook Tangerine, which is more orange, but it definitely has some of the same yellow characteristic out here where it shades, which is kind of cool. And then I think closest of all is Diamine Candlelight, which is from the 2021 set as well. I think this is fairly close, but darker and maybe a little bit browner, perhaps. I don't know. The writing here looks a lot like how Sorbet looks in a finer nib, but this looks darker. So yeah, nothing exactly like Mango Sorbet, which is pretty cool because as you can see, I have a lot of stuff in this general color space. So yeah, pretty interesting. All right, thanks very much, Narwhal, for letting me get these for review. I appreciate it. Find these wherever Narwhal inks are sold for $12 for this little 20 ml bottle. Pretty darn good price for a really interesting ink. So there you go. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and you'll see me in another video soon. Until then, peace out.